Da, 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 da. There's that. And we got to open this back up. Okay. So we are on the page where it says, so you might be asking. Over here. If this is pretty much the same thing as regular exponential, why are we doing them separately? All right, well, we use E to calculate what is called compound interest problems. All right, after T years, the balance A in an account with principal P and annual interest rate R in decimal form is given by those two formulas. For N, compoundings per year, A equals P to the 1 plus R over N to the NT. And for continuous compounding, we have what we like to call PERT. What we like to call PERT. Obviously, you don't need to memorize them as you will be taking the quiz at home on Monday. All right. So you just need to be able to use them. All right. Okay. So $12,000 is invested in an annual interest rate of 3%. Find the balance after 4 years when the interest is compounded quarterly, which means 4 times per year and then continuously. So in the first one, A, we use the formula P, 1 plus R to the N2. Okay, these two numbers are always going to be exactly the same. All right. So quarterly means 4 times a year, so N is 4. The interest rate is 3%. Don't forget, as always, to turn that into a decimal, so 0.03. Since we're talking about 4 years, T is 4, and P is the initial amount, $12,000. All right. So when I set it up, A equals 12,000 parentheses, 1 plus 0.03 divided by 4 raised to the 4 times 4 power. All right. After that, it's all done with a calculator. Now, my suggestion to you is this. When you do these, the order in which you should do it. Number 1 is simplify your exponent before you do anything else. So, for example, 4 times 4 is 16. The second thing I would do is divide the rate by the number of times we're compounding it and then adding 1. The fourth thing we do is we raise it to that exponent. The last thing we do is multiply by the 12,000. So in short, all right, this is what I would do. 4 times 4, which is 16. So that's what the new exponent's going to be. I would then take the interest rate, 0.03, and divide that by 4 as well. We'll give you a decimal. We then add 1. Boom. You then raise that to the exponent, so that's the 16, and then multiply by the 12,000. And you get your final answer, which is 13,523.91. Unless told otherwise, money problems round to the nearest cent. Round to the nearest cent. All right. Okay. All right, when you do these, if it's weekly, assume there's 52 weeks in a year, so when it's 52. Monthly is 12, daily is 365. Don't worry about leap years. Don't worry about the extra day in a year. You certainly can do it all in one motion. You just have to be careful with it. All right. So if you try to do it all in one motion, it would be 12,000. 1 plus 0.03 divided by 4. And then your exponent would be 4 times 4. And it certainly can be done. Just make sure you don't miss a step somewhere along the way. All right. Okay. Now, when you do the second part, which is the continuous part, okay, you're just using PERT. So PE to the RT. So P is 12,000. E is always going to be E. The rate is 3%, so 0.03 times 4. All right. That, most people are pretty proficient at doing all in one motion. 12,000 E 0.03 times 4. And then you have 13,529.96. Again, you don't need to memorize these, you just need to be able to use them. Mm-hmm. One of the other type of word problems is half-life. All right, the only difference is instead of E as the base, you're going to have 1/2. All right, that formula is right there. A equals P, which is your initial. 1/2 is the value 1/2. Feel free to use 0.5. T is the time you're talking about, and is the actual half-life. So, for example, let Y represent a mass in grams of radioactive strontium, whose half-life is about 29 years. The quantity of strontium present after 2 years is Y equals 10 to the 1/2 to the T over 29. Determine how much of the initial mass is present after 80 years. All right, so all you're going to do is replace the T with 80. All right, and when you do, you can either do 10 times 1/2 to the 80 divided by 29, or raise 1/2 to the 80 divided by 29. You can definitely put that in as a division problem. All right, so 10 times 0.5, 80 divided by 29. And then you'll see is 1.48 grams left. All right, so that's half-life. All right, and then for the last one, which is a continuous but not money, the approximate number of fruit flies in an exponential population after T hours is given by the formula Q of T equals P e to the 0.03 T greater than or equal to 0. Find the number of fruit flies present after 3 days. Notice the formula is given in hours. However, the question is asking about days. All right, so it is assumed you know there's 24 hours in a day. So in 3 days, it would be 72 hours. Let's say we start with 5 fruit flies. That would be P, 5e to the 0.03 times 72. All right, Go to my calculator. 5E 0.03 times 72, and that'd be 43 fruit flies. Yep. When you guys log in at home, you ever use the computer or something? Yeah. Okay. That's what I mean, because sometimes, like, you're not there and shit, I just want to, it's fine, because we're going to start taking, it's fine. I'm just going to assume that if you want to use it on both of you. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. I understand. So, real quick, let's just walk through the homework expectations. This is due tomorrow at midnight. All right. So the first one is just a table. I don't need to see any work for that. You can just put the final balance in. All right. Okay. For the second problem underneath. All right. Assume, number one, that P is 20,000. All right, because it's not there. So P is 20,000. For the remaining problems after the table, all I expect to see is your formula. So for example, this one, A equals the P, which is 20,000. Since it is continuous, we're using PERT. So that would be E. The rate is 5.5%, so that's 0.055. And then T is 6. And then whatever your answer is, that's all I need to see for work. Okay? The one underneath that deals with compounding interest as well. All right, the two on the top of the next page are half-life problems. Like I said, just be careful about converting. All right. The next two on that column deal with just continuous compounding formulas, but they give you the formula. You should be okay with that. Again, just show what you plugged in. On the back, all right, I'm going to start with the newly hatched catfish one. All right. We did put some on here for people who are eventually going to take a standardized test, whether it's a college placement test or the SAT. Remember the basic formula, which is 1 plus minus R to the T. So for the remaining four problems, you're going to use that. So for example, it says a newly hatched catfish typically weighs about 0.3 grams. Put the P in front, my bad. The P should be in front of it. So A equals P, which is 0.3 grams. 1. The rate is the percent as a decimal. So 10% is 0.10. Since it is growth, you add. And then 6 weeks would make your exponent 6. All right. For the phone problem and the cable company, they're both losing. The only difference is instead of 1 plus, it's 1 minus R. All right. So you got 20 minutes to work on those. If you want to use the calculators, they're right over there. Just leave them on your desk to make sure that I can sanitize them. Those of you that are home, if you want to stay, stay. If you want to split, split. We will see you tomorrow if you go. All right. Lights on.